Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial on paper 1 question 2, and this is from the June 2019 paper, which is the Hartop family in their van of misery. Okay, so as always with question 2, you'll be given a small extract and it'll be from the start of the source, and in this instance we're looking about the description here of the Hartop family. So as always, we do a quick annotation, identify the kinds of techniques that we want to talk about and write about. And so we'll look at those initial impressions we have of Mr. Hartop. So we're thinking about these adjectives and compound adjectives. Now, when I marked this, some students really fell into the trap of talking about them being hungry. Now, thin doesn't necessarily connote to hunger, and so the kind of students had made taken 2 and 2 and made 5 from this. We can talk about starved-faced, the idea that it reinforces the sense that they're perhaps malnourished, that they're underweight, but we can't actually associate hunger with that. So just be careful that you don't jump to conclusions. So we're looking at him here. Angular is an interesting word. It might make us think about him being quite hard, literally we think of him being quite bony, but it kind of perhaps connotes to ideas of, him being comfortless and a lack of warmth. So we might also think about, I like this bit here about he seemed to occupy almost all the sea. And I think, we'll come to what I've put here in my answer about occupying, but it's a very kind of dominant verb, and it really kind of connotes the idea that he is he's dominating and intimidating within the space he's in. And you could certainly do some stuff with how that's supported in this verb phrase of sprawling awkwardly. And then we could look at the fact that they are squeezed up, showing that he's not left them much space. We could look at that simile with the girl with her arms flat as though ironed against her side. So it's an interesting simile that you could do some work with there. You could certainly mention things about she feels very tense. You could link it to her thinness. You could also link it to the idea she doesn't want to disturb or unsettle her father, and linking that into verbs like pressed as well. I find this image here of the moulded in clay and also the flat swede colour quite interesting imagery. And also we've got images, we've got the repetition of the adjective thin, hard, frightened to describe Mrs. Hartop and Alice. So we're going to obviously just have a quick a minute or so in the exam looking at and thinking about what we're going to talk about, and then we're going to crack straight on with our response. Now, as always, as I always suggest, we begin this response with the writer uses and some kind of language method. So the method here is the imagery. Remember, there's no hierarchy of language devices, so students think that I'm going to talk about the semantic field of this, or it's about the effect, it's about the quality of the comment, not about the range of sort of highbrow techniques that you've used. So in my response, I'm going to talk about the writer uses physical imagery to depict the almost malnourished Hartop family. So I've been doing some work with my classes around topic sentences, just kind of making a first opening point. And if you don't want to make jump to conclusions, almost is a really helpful word, almost malnourished. So I'm kind of grouping together, finding clusters and patterns of language here. All of the characters are described as thin, which in isolation does not imply starvation, but combined with the swede colour skin indicates a sickly pallor and implies poor health. Pallor is just your skin tone. So I've got kind of some patterns of evidence or examples here, and I think it's always good not just to use one, but to try and back up what you're saying with 2 different things. I'm going to try and develop this even further then. This paired with a compound adjective, so we've got method here. Ooh, my voice is going funny. Starved-faced gives an impression of a family who are lacking in basic nutrients. So there's lots of comments here on the effects. That's what I'm doing here. Mr. Hartop's also described as being a gaunt and sharp-bodied man. Can you see the way that, and again, I might do a little video on topic sentences, but can you see this sort of reflects my first point. It uses imagery to depict the almost malnourished family. Mr. Hartop's also depicted as being a gaunt and sharp-bodied man. I'm sort of evaluating the way that he, for want of a better expression, he comes across. And I'm going to support that then with more methods. So the adjective, so we've got more methods, writer's techniques, angular, highlights. So I'm just going to go through and kind of get my quotes, because I haven't been doing that, so I go through. So the adjective angular highlights his hardness and possibly conveys his lack of comfort and warmth. Okay, so I've commented on effect, that's decent. It's a good kind of, if I had to grade that, kind of grade 5, 6 kind of comment, but I want to develop this, so I'm going to find yet more method and more example to support it. And so I'm going to talk about the verb occupy adds to his hostility. And really zooming in, which is like a key thing for this question, zooming in. So to occupy somewhere, sorry, I must have turned my page, reminds us of an invading military force, something which dominates an area without consideration for those who live there. So if I had to identify the bit where this goes like really high level, this is the bit, because this is kind of your original analysis. It's offering a really different interpretation. You know, if you choose the word thin, well, what does that tell you? It tells you that someone's thin. This is about you selecting evidence you can say something interesting and original about. And so I've gone in this example to look at the occupying of military forces, just to really convey Hartop as being a domineering and very intimidating force. And again, I'm building. This is reinforced with the verb phrase. So we've got more method, more technique, all the time building. Sprawling awkwardly, which builds on the idea of his almost deliberate lack of care for his daughter's comfort. In contrast, his wife and daughter are frightened. I could have put something here about the writer using adjectives frightened, but it doesn't matter. Again, highlighting his dominance. Moulded in clay, so I'm going on to yet another example, is an effective image. Images, you know, that's fine to use that in terms of a method. Clay evokes images of skin which is grey and featureless. The verb moulded. Can you see again where I've taken a quote like moulded in clay and split it up and talked in detail about both kind of words? So we've got more method, this time looking at verbs. Almost implies, and again I mentioned earlier about almost, you know, it shows that you're being tentative, you're not just saying it definitely is one thing or another. So the verb moulded almost implies that they've been shaped by an external force. If you think about literally moulding something in clay, you need someone to be the moulder. Leaving readers wondering if that force is poverty. So this is a really deeply interpretive, a sort of original idea, thinking about if they've been moulded in clay, what has put them into this position. Deeply metaphorical and would get you loads and loads of marks. So to readers, the faces are as one. And again, I wanted to highlight the sense that clay, you know, it's devoid of, it hasn't got a soul, it's not a real person, and it's often when people mould things in clay, it's just there's no real identifying features to it. So I've kind of made this point here that to readers the faces are as one, all moulded into the same bland expressions which strip them of any humanity or individuality. Okay, this would be a grade 9, 8 out of 8 mark response. The key thing that I've included is I've included methods, and I've got a range of different methods. I've got a range of evidence, and the example I'll talk about this thing about judicious, it means well-chosen quotes, and that's the point I'm making about thin. How much can you do with the word thin? Whereas moulded, whereas occupy, there's lots you can do with it. And really what's kind of pushing up those high marks is that we've got these kind of original effects of language, more kind of original and insightful comment on the impact and effect that language has in terms of what image does it create. Okay, I hope that was useful. Thanks for watching. Bye.